Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Petrich. The most important thing you can do for your spine is decompress it. And the fundamental thing that you need to first know how to do in order to decompress your spine is to figure out how to do a posterior pelvic tilt. An anterior pelvic tilt, which is the opposite, is when the sides of the pelvis tilt forward. But when we posteriorly tilt the pelvis, we actually can bring it to a neutral position where we have the most secure position of the SI joint, and that starts the rest of your spine and sets it up for success. The important caveat to that is a lot of times people think that a posterior pelvic tilt is from your tailbone and it's tucking the tailbone under. That is not the same thing. It's the sides of the pelvis that need to tilt back. This stays where it is. And this is how I teach my clients how to do a good quality pelvic tilt.
All right. So the pelvis can tilt and it can anteriorly tilt, which is when your pelvis tilts forward and your back will arch. Yep, just like that. And when your pelvis does that, your ribs also will lift up towards the ceiling and your sternum is going to go and tilt this direction so that the lower part of your sternum is up high and the top part of your sternum is down low. Okay. And then your pelvis is in an anterior pelvic tilt. And this is not a very good position to really work out in or posture yourself. Okay. So we're going to learn how to do a posterior pelvic tilt, but this is really a specific posterior pelvic tilt. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it, but let's just get the overall picture of what a posterior pelvic tilt is first. So that's when the pelvis is going to tilt backwards. So the top front hip bones are going to tilt up towards your nose. Your pubic bone would start to tilt up towards the ceiling and towards your nose, and your back will flatten, okay? And it will feel like your tailbone is starting to tilt up. And when that happens, your rib cage also should tilt downwards a little bit more, not so that it's reversing that sternum position, but it's going to be like more parallel with the floor. And these lower ribs no longer popping up, but definitely down. And don't be surprised if the back of your neck feels like it starts to arch more. That will also happen because your head actually tilts in the same direction that your pelvis does if everything's flowing from head to pelvis. Go ahead and relax all of that. Now, I did allude to there's a right way and a wrong way to do that posterior pelvic tilt, okay? And the key is, what are you using to do that posterior pelvic tilt? And what can you relax while you're in that posterior pelvic tilt? If you over-recruit your rectus abdominis right here, these six-pack muscles in the middle, that can actually be more compressive to the spine, not what we want. We want to decompress the spine with this pelvic tilt. And what you can use instead is start by putting some pressure through your feet. Your heels are a really great place of your foot to do that. And as you spin the pelvis back, don't roll it back so much that your back starts peeling off the mat. Yep, there you go. Doesn't have to be huge, beautiful. And I can tell you're not using your abdominals as much this time because they're not poofing out. And you should feel your back relaxed when you do this posterior pelvic tilt. Do you feel any tension in your back right now?
No.
Now, I would like to pair this with a breath cycle, really specifically your exhale. So go ahead and relax and start over again. I'm going to have you inhale to prepare. Exhale and do a little of that pelvic tilt without using your abs. And as you exhale, the exhale promotes these ribs sinking down a little bit. And at the end of that exhale, you might accidentally start to feel some abdominals there. Go ahead and breathe in, because I know you need to breathe still. Yep. And then exhale out again and exhale out. Just keep that pelvic tilt that you have, but feel how the ribs sink down and in and just let them, yep, and then hold it there. And you might feel some tension in your abdominals, but it's not these six-pack muscles by themselves. They're not bulging up, but you might feel more on the sides of your abdominals or straight across. Those are the abdominals we like that help decompress the spine. But at the end of that exhale is a really nice time to find it. Let's use that exhale again. Blow out and out and out. Hold that breath out. Hold it. Hold it. Good. And keep that little bit of that tension in there as you breathe in through your nose. And that's going to promote some more airflow into your upper chest. Airflow that is going in there not because you're pulling it in there with your neck, hopefully, okay, but because your abdominals are keeping your rib cage in a good neutral rib cage position and in this posterior pelvic tilt position. But I had you use your feet a little bit and the pressure through your feet, which really means I had you use your legs to help you pull you into that posterior pelvic tilt. Do you feel your legs working a bit? Where do you feel your legs? The back of your thighs?
Yep.
Perfect. So those muscles, they attach to your sit bones, that bony part that you sit on when you sit on a really hard chair or bench. Those muscles connect to there, and they will help tilt your pelvis. And they actually tilt your pelvis technically to a neutral pelvis position, except it's really called a posterior pelvic tilt when your knees are bent this much, because those hamstrings can actually tilt your sit bones up higher towards the back of your knees. So that's why the back gets flatter. Okay. But those hamstrings actually help decompress the spine. And that's what we want to get out of in our posterior pelvic tilt, plus this rib cage position that also puts your rib cage in a position so that your diaphragm can participate in decompressing your spine. If people have a difficult time finding and feeling that, I usually put their feet up on a wall. When you put your feet up here, we are not going to pretend like we're in a leg press machine and you're going to push your feet into the wall and slide your head that direction. I don't want that kind of muscle action.
Okay.
Instead, I want you to imagine there's a shelf underneath your heels. Okay. And you're going to pull your heels down into that shelf. And I had you keep your shoes on for a reason. So you had the back of the shoe to slide your heel down into.
Okay.
And as you do that, your heels slide down and your knees can reach a little bit up towards the ceiling. And this pelvis can roll backwards like a rolling pin rolling backwards, just enough until your low back relaxes and melts on the table. So whenever I have people first work on perfecting their posterior pelvic tilt, I have a checklist. A, is your stomach relaxed? And you said yes. B, back relaxed? Check. Okay. But 3, what do you feel holding your pelvis up?
My hamstrings.
Yep, the back of your thighs, right here, your hamstrings. Check. And then we can add some breathing in there. So inhale through your nose and then exhale out. And just let those ribs melt. And at the end of that exhale, you should accidentally get a little bit of tension in your abdomen. It's not a lot. All you're doing is laying down. You don't need to be, sweating this out here, but you'll just get a little tension. And then we're going to try to keep some of that as you breathe in. And that should promote more airflow into your upper chest. Do you feel like your neck is tense at all?
No, not really.
Good. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And frequently when I do this with people, I will roll up a towel and put it underneath the neck just in case. Doesn't that feel kind of nice?
Yeah.
There? I probably should have done that for us today. But if you have a little support there, it helps get the neck in a really good, nice cervical neutral position. Go ahead and relax. So there's our posterior pelvic tilt. Okay. All right.